What is up, everyone? This is the Oklahoma Prepper, and today we're going to do another update on the garden. Guys, so real quick, we're going to start out with what I've got right here on the table. This is the stuff that I've started myself. And then once we get this looked at, we're going to go out to the garden and we're going to look at what I've got planted. And then we'll kind of go through what I'm going to do with the rest of the garden that I'm going to be tilling up. And we're going to kind of talk about the process that I'm going to go through to do that and how I'm going to do things. So let's get started on what I've got planted real quick. All right, guys. So you guys can remember this half is okra. This half is jalapenos, and I've got quite a bit of them finally coming up. I've got watermelon on this side, cantaloupe on this side, and 1 6-pack of squash, which I do plan on planting more squash, which I've actually planted more squash. You could see, I think you can see this right here. Yeah, that's a squash, and then some watermelon over there as well. So I've got plenty of, I've got a lot of jalapeno, not just this. I've got a lot more over here, and I've got some in the garden already started. This is only a half tray of watermelon, a half tray of okra, and then I'm going to do more cucumber and finish off the squash and cucumber, as well as the okra, and I believe the watermelon. I'm going to have to check to make sure I have enough real estate for that. All right, guys, so does this look familiar, this little setup? I'm back to the little Dixie cups. This one is, I believe this one's, yeah, this is going to be jalapeno. These jalapenos I just started about 3 or 4 days ago, maybe 5 days ago. We'll call it a week, and they haven't come up. And these that I've got started over here, y'all saw earlier in the tray. I started those a little while, about a week before, so that's about 2 weeks. You can see this tray up here, just out off the camera screen. That's another 77 cells of cantaloupe, and that 6-pack cell, I've got 3 6-pack cells right here. Let me reach over. These are more cantaloupe, so I've got 77. I've got a lot of cantaloupe. I can't remember how much. So I've got a full tray, and hey, get out of here, cat. That cat's trying to jump up on. Yep, that's why I didn't want the cats up here. Anyways, I've got, let me see if I can pan the camera up a little. There we go. I've got, you can see this tray, and then I've got 3 more 6-packs of cantaloupe as well. So again, like I said earlier, I've got right here squash. This is most of these are squash that are coming up, that are up in this front part right here, and I believe these might actually be the watermelons. Yeah, these are watermelons, so kind of a mixture of watermelon and squash in there. I've also got cherry tomatoes started. They haven't come up yet. Looks like I've got another squash coming up. You see that little green right in there? I don't know if you guys can see it on, yeah, there you go, right in the middle. So I've got another squash coming up. So I'm going to have plenty of squash, watermelons, cantaloupes, way more jalapenos than I think I'll need. Right here, big and beautiful, is my tomatoes. I've not got all of my tomatoes out here. You see is 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 tomatoes. I've got, you can see right here, there's 1 habanero. That is a row of habanero, and this is a row of jalapenos right here. And of course, just to the left of my tomatoes right here, you can barely see the onions, and I've got another couple of rows of onions, one right here, and then this partial row as well. So that's what I've got so far with let me throw my sticks around. So that's what I've got so far with my garden. You can see, let me pan up a little if I can. You can see it's looking a little different than it did before. I did get me a tiller. It's not new, it's used. It's a Earthquake, and I'll do a video on that. But I got me a tiller yesterday, actually, $400. I bought it, and instead of, I did let this area right here, you can see in that corner, I did let that go, and you can see there's a lot of grass in the dirt. I did let it go, didn't get to hoeing it in time. I ended up just tilling it up instead of hoeing, which is a bad idea. And I'll get more, I'll let you guys know more about that here when we go to the next clip, when we check out the other garden. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk over there, I'm gonna take the camera over there, and we're gonna look at that jalapeno plant right there specifically, because I'm having some problems with it. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about it. So let's get over there and take a look. All right, guys, I'm sure you can tell by the video it's looking a little bad, and it is. I'm afraid that it may have root rot. For those of you that have either been in Oklahoma or around Oklahoma here in the last couple of weeks, know that we have had a relentless amount of rain, and so there's nothing I can do about that except for treat it. I have watered that plant once with peroxide, half and half peroxide, but I have not misted the leaves or the foliage with any peroxide solution. The peroxide, basically, let me explain that a little bit. 1 part peroxide to 1 part water on the roots, and 1 teaspoon of peroxide to about 1 cup or 8 ounces of water on the foliage. And I'll explain. Basically, the chemical element for peroxide is H2O2. 2 parts hydrogen, 2 parts oxygen. And once you put the peroxide half and half solution down on the root system, it'll get down into the root ball, and it will basically, when it breaks down, what it'll break down is extra oxygen. And that extra oxygen is supposed to, that solution is supposed to act as a fungicide or fungicide, and basically deal with any root rot or any possible fungus that's down there that is creating this issue with my jalapeno. So that is what I'm working on now. So far, I haven't seen any noticeable difference, other than the root rot, or the leaves have actually stopped turning yellow and brown, and I've got some that are, you may be able to see in there, but they have not advanced any further, and everything that was yellow is finally dying off on the leaves. So for those of you on here that are watching this that may know a little bit more about it, and I'm looking, that's the same one that had several jalapenos, which I can see that there are about 3 of them that are ready for harvest. They're already starting to turn a darker green, almost a black color. Actually, let's get down closer and we'll look at it. So you guys can see a lot better the discoloration. For example, right here, it's real yellow, and then on the end, it is the ends of the leaves right here where they've been really affected are almost already brittle. And this one is, I'm wanting to say this one is ready to go, because it's already starting to turn black. It is not green anymore. Get out of here, bear. Go. Go. I can't have the bear running around in my garden, so let's see. Some of these are already starting to turn black. You can see it's starting to turn black. Maybe you see it's starting to turn black at the top, closer to the stem. But I'm really wanting to try to save this jalapeno as much as possible, because it's already producing a lot of fruit. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this one and try it out later on. But yeah, I see with the one I just pulled, with this one I just pulled, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see. That's a, oh, there's another one. So including the one that I just pulled, that's 7 fruits off of this one, and it's been planted about maybe a week or 2, possibly. I think 2 weeks. You see this guy, I don't know if you guys see it on the frame. It's a little ladybug. That is a ladybug. That is not a Japanese beetle, so I am not going to remove that from the garden. Because they eat aphids and they're really healthy for your gardens. So really quick, I'm going to jerk you guys around real quick and show you all my habaneros that I just planted yesterday, I believe. And you guys can see that they're still in the original soil. And the original soil is sticking up out of the ground for most of them. And I was told at the garden place where I bought my first round of plants that you don't want to cover the top part once you get them transplanted. You don't want to cover the top. You still want them to get the oxygen and the water and the sunlight directly onto that soil, onto the original soil. So I will talk to you guys more about the method I used for planting these habaneros as well as the jalapenos that are right here behind me. And hopefully that will be something you guys would enjoy and maybe make y'all's garden a little bit easier to start and work with. I'm going to pan around and up just a little bit and show you guys some of the onions. That is probably one of the biggest ones that I've got so far. The onions are not going to be probably not going to be sold unless somebody just absolutely wants to buy them. And if I have more at harvest than I need, there's seriously a cat crawling up my back. So that's probably the only way I'll sell the onions, because I don't have a lot and I won't have, I can't, if I get one customer come in and say they want onions and somebody else says, hey, they bought onions from you, I want onions. Well, you know what? I don't have onions, to sell. I really didn't want to spend a lot of money on them. They're $1.99 for the bundle that I have, that what you see, and I would say 30% of them did not make it. So that is kind of a useless thing for me to. So yeah, the onions were pretty much. This is my first time doing onions like that. And of course it's trial run. I don't know how well the onions are going to do. So I just pretty much, that was the whole reason. If I wasn't going to do a lot of them, and they're not nearly as cheap as, something as like the tomatoes or jalapenos as far as the way they produce, because if I plant one onion, when it's time to harvest, I'm going to get one onion. So it's not really something that I would be planting to harvest and sell unless I had maybe this entire property covered in onions. But then where would all the other stuff go? You guys can see here, this is my fence. This is the 2x4. This is not welded wire, obviously. This is looped and tied in to itself. Mainly to keep the dogs and actually it was done mainly to keep the rabbits out, because if you guys remember me talking about that first couple of tomato plants that I planted, came out the next day and it was pretty much gone. I think rabbits came and got it. So I put that up, and so far just this 3 sides of what I got right here, you guys already saw it. Just those 3 sides has been enough to make sure that the rest of anything else that I've planted out here has not been touched. But let's take a look real quick at this spot that I am getting ready to till, and I'll explain to you guys why I'm doing what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, because I'm having problems with the tiller, not the tiller, but with the ground that I'm tilling. So I'm going to explain to you guys why I'm doing this a certain way rather than just tilling it up, because, well, I'll just show you all here in a second. So you guys can see right there that I've got this right side of the screen tilled up and the left side is not. And the reason I did not finish this yesterday was because I don't know if you guys can tell how tall this grass is, but I had to back the tiller off a lot yesterday just on this spot right here that I've got tilled. I had to back the tiller off a lot and kick some grass that had just kind of got caught up under the tiller, kick it out of the way, and then restart it. So, and you guys can see not only that, in the soil, there's a lot of grass, long grass blades in there that I really don't want in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mow this all over again. And then I'm going to till it. I'm going to mow it real low. And you guys can see that in quite a few places that it's really sparse. The grass is really sparse. So I'll be able to go over it, you know, a couple of times and make sure that all of the dead stuff, the dead grass, or the clippings are real low. And you guys can see in pretty much where the cat's walking in that dead stuff, there is a lot of tall, long Johnson grass that when I brush hogged, it wasn't really this tall. It really, maybe it had been this tall when I started brush hogging it. And then I went to mow it and got it down to, of course, yard size, some grass that you'd want in your front yard. But last year I did not brush hog it, and it just naturally died on its own. And where it fell is where it stayed. So, which is good because the decomposing grass that's down now, and a lot of people don't understand, and a lot of people just don't like to leave lawn clippings in your yard. I do a lot of lawn care, and I get a lot of customers that really want me to bag their yard a lot. They want me to bag the clippings, and they don't understand why I try to talk them out of it, even though that I explain it to them. They just don't want the lawn clippings. But this actually helps in composting, and to basically fertilize the grass, fertilize your lawn naturally. So I'm not gonna drag this. I might drag that part, the tilled part, only because there's a lot of long, tall stuff in there that I don't want to have to deal with when I'm planting, or when I'm transplanting my watermelons. Because this out here is going to be where my vine plants, like the okras, the watermelons, cantaloupes, the cucumbers, that's where all this is going to go. And that part back there where I just showed you where the tomatoes, jalapenos, and onions are, that is pretty much going to stay tomatoes and jalapenos. And when it's time to harvest my onions, well, I'm actually going to till that a little bit wider on one side, so that I can have a little bit more room for some more jalapenos and tomatoes. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I've got mosquitoes trying to carry me away. So I'm going to close up this video and get out of here. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions or any suggestions on what to do with my garden, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Again, I think every prepper should know the basics of just doing a simple garden. It doesn't have to be watermelons, cantaloupes, all that stuff, because that stuff is really, really advanced stuff. There's a lot of real estate you guys need to do watermelons, cantaloupes, and stuff like that. I mean, significantly more than significantly more than squash, because of course the melons are so big, and then you've got to powder them or dust them as they grow to keep them from getting sunburned. So there's a lot of stuff, but I will cover some of that stuff here on the channel as we advance into some better days. this is what we've had for the last probably 2 weeks. I don't know if the sun exists anymore. I think the world ended. Nobody told me, and we're just in a cloud of crap. All right. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you guys have any questions or comments, as I said before, leave them down below, and I'll try to get to them. Also, I'm going to be doing an update on my health issues here in the next few days, so stick around for that. It's not really good. So that video will be coming out probably tomorrow, or no, tomorrow's Sunday. That video will probably come out on Monday. I'll put that video out for you guys on Monday. I'm going to record it here in just a minute, kind of give you guys an update. But yeah, anyways, enough rambling. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Stay safe and keep prepping.